Madam Maina, where does the buck stop in your view? Because there are people who are saying that the government gives, including burial permits. Under what circumstances were these people buried without the government knowing that something is wrong in Shakahola?
I think, Trevor, one of the things we must be very honest about this situation is that it is grave. It is at another level. It is very, to me as a believer especially, I think it's very demonic. And one of the things I think I have seen a mistake being made in the analysis is to assume that this was a religion. It only disguised itself as a religion. But this was a cult. It was a form of a sect, maybe an occult, that radicalized people, instilled a lot of fear, and true to a cult, they removed them from the ordinary society, separated them and put them in a specific place, hid them in a forest. Many offenses have been committed, Trevor, to be honest. And that buck must stop somewhere, and it cannot stop on one desk. Because while as the system you give us, the constitution you give us rights as individuals, the government can only supervise those rights to a certain extent. And I'll give a simple example in a marriage relationship. When a marriage is officiated, yes, it's legal, it's licensed, and it's done the proper way as per the laws of the land. But the government doesn't come to your house every day to say how you are treating your wife, how you are looking at her, whether you are buying food. It's until the day she comes out and says, in fact, we don't have provision in this house. This spouse has abdicated their responsibility. That's when you start to see those violations now being addressed in a different system. In the same manner, when a right to freedom of worship is granted under the Constitution article, I believe Article 32, then it behoves on the institution that is exercising those rights together with the individuals to be responsible in how those rights are exercised. And no right is absolute, not absolute in the sense that the minute a right begins to traverse and become a violation into the rights of other people, or crisscross into other rights, then that right becomes, it cannot be absolute. It will be curtailed by the very same constitution. So I want to say, in very many fronts, there are some institutions that have failed. These are not two people who died. Obinja today, if a person fainted in the mainstream church, in an ordinary church, fainted or died in a sanctuary on a Sunday, that story will be known by BBC, by CNN. It will be across the whole globe because it will be treated as very big story. Never mind that could even be natural causes that have caught up with that follower even as they were worshiping. It would be known and it will be investigated. It will be checked to see how that person died in the public space. Now, we have a situation here, Obinja, where members of families have disappeared. There is no one complaining. My first worry is the domestic institution that takes accountability for you when you wake up in the morning and you walk to Citizen. Who knows whether you came on air? If you don't come on air for 6 hours, is there no one asking that Obinja was in this program this morning and we have seen he's not there, he's not called? Where is he? You disappear for day 1, day 2, day 3, a whole week. So there is failure first from the domestic settings, where the first level of accountability appears. Because if I can't find my daughter at the university where she's supposed to be studying, where will she be after 2 weeks? You don't know where she is, and you have not reported. So I have a very big problem, first with the accountability system at the family level. Why didn't anyone question? I don't think some of those people died yesterday, so that you can say they fasted together within a block of the same days, and they died on the same days or days apart. So I have a problem with why no one raised it. The only reason why this story came out, I'm told, I haven't quite investigated myself, is that one police officer resigned from KA. He went into Shakahola, did not come back, and I think the family raised an alarm. And I have seen an alarm that was also raised by Honorable Aisha Juma several years ago. But the problem is we have an intelligence system. We have the family setting. We have a chief. We have elders. If 5 people disappear from a village, it's a very big story, Obinja. It's not even a small story. Just a team of 5 people. Not seen young men. We see them on the paper all the time.
Yeah.
They are reported as missing. Why were these people not reported as missing? There's a lot of fear that was instilled. I saw this Mackenzie even issuing a threat to journalists that they will see they don't know what they are dealing with, plus the police starting to intimidate institutions. This is a cult.
Okay.
And one of the mistakes also the media could be making is refer to him as pastor. I want you to think about your pastor this morning, Obinja, if you go to church. In your normal church, the evangelical or the ACK or the PCA, that's a man of God or a woman of God who's been serving and doing the right things. Then suddenly, you take a criminal like Mackenzie, you start attributing to him the title of a pastor or a prophet or whatever. While in actual fact, this is a very dangerous criminal who has removed people, taken over their lives, instilled fear, removed their power to make decisions, caused them to sell property. And apparently, and notably, many of the people who went there, did you see this lady who was working for one of the airlines?
Yes.
They sell their property first, surrender all the funds to this Shadrach, and then after that they go into the forest, and I think their death is accelerated by not just fasting, but also strangulation has been reported. There were marks of strangulation. Obinja, I suspect there were many violations of human rights. I have seen children were involved. In fact, if we were in another jurisdiction, and I want to refer to one of the incidences that occurred in a place called Utah in Texas, where there's a cult there, which is, if you watch a documentary on Netflix, Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey. The first thing they do is to take the power. They control the doctrine. They want people to believe in a certain doctrine or a certain person, and that person becomes a doorway to go to heaven, which is dangerous. I have also seen another one in the Western Province who is called, is supposed to be a Jesus somewhere, of Tongaren. I think there are places where we need to check and see how is the doctrine moving.
All right.